Hello, we're the Married Critics. We just saw Ad Astra, and what can I say? It's visually stunning, that's for sure.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree. Yeah.
End of review. Thank you. No, there's more. It looked spectacular. The moon. My favorite scenes were the moon scenes. It just seemed so real. The way the moon base looked, and it looked just like an airport. And you always get the impression that'll be what it's like in the future. Mars looked pretty interesting as well, but the highlight was also Neptune. Man, the blue haze of Neptune was beautiful. Don't you think so?
I can't remember. I can't remember that part. I just remember
Neptune, the
seeing-
big blue planet at the end.
I must have looked away.
Well, they were parked in the orbit of the giant thing for like 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh,
What the hell were you looking at in the whole final act of the movie?
I was probably sleeping. This movie was terrible.
And why is that?
Oh, it was so boring. I kept waiting for something to happen, and spoiler alert, nothing happens.
Hey, plenty happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Not to warrant, 2 hours of film?
Plenty happened, miss. I didn't know there was a Death Star in Star Wars. Well, you miss like these giant obvious things that you can't miss. Didn't even notice that there was a giant blue planet.
Oh wow, I'm crying
Yeah.
now.
I don't think it was boring. It was.
Oh.
I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy it. I think it was a good movie. It was well directed. It was, like I said, visually stunning. The acting was great. Come on, Brad Pitt's performance was very good.
Oh gosh, he
don't
looked like
think
he
so?
was spaced out on drugs the entire time, which I'm sure was the look that he was going for. Like, you could feel that he was emotionless, and
Yeah, well,
he was bottling it all up, and
he was professional. He was an astronaut. They got to sort of be professional if they're spending that much time in space and doing long missions.
I'll tell you what though, he gets 10 points for his little eye twitch.
His little tear.
His eye kept trembling.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, it happened 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, oh, is he doing that on cue, or is he just, I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I always like when you see an actor, they shed a little tear or something like that. But I don't know how much of it is cheating nowadays, because they could just CGI the tear.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they couldn't, add some moisture with a little, baster or something.
Drop of water.
Yeah, drop of water, anyway. But I thought his acting was great, especially when, is this going to be a spoiler review? I guess so, spoiler review. Especially when he confronts his dad, and his dad pretty much tells him that he never cared about him or his mum.
Oh, well,
was
that's
pretty
what
sad.
I was thinking was going to happen the entire time, because I'm like, who leaves your kid for a one-way trip?
Well, people do that all the time when they're on, like, they in the military, soldiers in the military, they love their families, but they go on what could be a one-way trip.
Yeah, but that's different.
They take it,
This guy specifically left knowing that he would never return.
Well, not necessarily. Did they specifically say in the movie it was a one-way trip? I thought they were going out there, past the, I think they said the heliosphere or something like that, just where there would be no interference, where they could send their signals out and look for exoplanets and look for other civilizations, and closer, study other planets. And so I thought they were going to go out there, do that, finish their mission, and then come back home. When did they say it was a one-way trip?
Well, I don't know if they said that specifically, but the fact that he was out there for 13 years.
But that's because of him. That's because he killed the whole crew. He sabotaged the ship or the crew so that they couldn't return. Because remember, they obviously had the means to return, because remember, the crew wanted to return.
Yes.
And he stopped them, so they could have returned. Yeah. Tommy Lee Jones's character, Clifford McBride, he sort of went crazy and didn't want to return.
What an asshole. That guy was a real asshole.
Yeah, well, See, I get like, what is the message of the movie that family is more important than ambition? I guess I don't know. Because in the end, Brad Pitt came home and reconnected with his wife, whereas Tommy Lee Jones's character just broke off all familial ties whatsoever, even when he had the chance to return with his son.
I have no idea what the message of the movie was. It was so confusing to me. One minute they're like, yep, this is amazing. We know that there's other life out there and we're going to find it. And, we believe in God and we can see God in everything out here. Everything that we see is making me believe even more. And then later on he's like, no, there's nothing else out there. There's no other life, which is bullshit. How can you have a universe this size and there be nothing else?
But it's being so short-sighted too, because their instruments can only see so far, which is a drop in the universe. So how can they have the hubris to say this tiny portion of the universe that we can see has no life, therefore there is no life in the entire universe? Yes. And there are billions of galaxies alone. Yeah. And what were they seeing? A small portion of our own galaxy? So that I thought was silly. But his dad was supposed to have gone crazy anyway.
Yeah. Well, they did say something about he went looking for things and missed what was right in front of him.
Which was his family.
Yeah.
And the Earth. Yeah. Plus, it's I think it's silly that we had come that far and colonized that much, and they still hadn't discovered any signs of life out in the universe. Surely, I mean, we all know they're visiting the Earth anyway.
Well, where'd they get that technology from?
If you believe in UFO conspiracies, which have some of it's been confirmed by the Navy, so it's not that ludicrous anymore. But it's an interesting movie. Hey, it makes you think and
makes you snore.
Makes you. I didn't find it boring because I love sci-fi. I love anything that shows the future and space travel and all that. I just feel like I wanted to see more of this universe that was established in this movie.
Yes.
This, in the not too distant future universe. I got the impression it's around like 2060 or something like that, just based on the technology and the amount of bases we got and things like that. And I would love to see more about what's happening on the moon, because they keep saying, it's lawless on, the dark side of the moon is lawless. And I mean, surely that's the other thing, a top secret mission.
Yeah.
And they had such shit level of security.
I know.
Why weren't they in like an armored personnel carrier? Why weren't they in some kind of armored vehicle? They were just in these tiny moon rovers that look like the ones from like Apollo 12 and 14 and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like they set up the movie to be incredible, and instead of it getting better, it kind of peaked on the moon. And then
well, I also like the sequence where they stopped at was it Swedish or Norwegian base that sent a Mayday call on the way to Mars.
Okay, yeah, and that was good.
And there were the base was conducting medical research on animals, and some of the baboons had escaped and were like ate one of the astronauts, and then attacked Brad Pitt. That was an amazing sequence. Baboons in zero gravity. That's pretty damn cool, because they're savage beasts.
Yeah.
So. That was and remember, like at first I was wondering, well, why is he taking so long to shoot the damn thing? But I was like, he had to make sure the shot was right, because if he hit the walls, it would have potentially ruptured the hull of the base. But then again, he was in a spacesuit, so it wouldn't have bothered him. So I don't know, maybe that's a plot hole, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. I was so excited when they got to the moon, and I'm like, oh, this is great. We're going to have this incredible action scene. And, I was getting Alita vibes. I'm like, yes, we're going to have this really good battle scene. And then they had the airport. And, well, I'm actually surprised that there was a Subway instead of a Macca's.
Yeah, McDonald's seems to be everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be a McDonald's one day on the moon and on Mars.
Yeah. But then
and potentially on one of the moons of Neptune. You know, that big blue planet
no,
with the giant rings.
no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, like they, and then they built it up, and they're like, oh, the dark side, or that's a dangerous place.
The lawless territory, the Wild West.
Yes, they're, what did they say? Pirates or
Pirates.
something?
Oh, they said there's a lot of something like there's a lot of. Did they say? There's a lot of competing mining factions, and they're always at war with each other.
Yeah.
Something like that. So it gets very dangerous out there.
Yeah. So you're expecting something, again, something epic. You know, you're going to meet some badasses.
Oh, look, I expect, things like that to happen in the future. I'm sure they will. But I think for the first few decades, at least, or maybe even longer, of lunar colonization, I think the military is going to have a pretty tight wrap on everything going on there.
Yeah.
As if they're going to allow, lawlessness to happen on the moon.
No, not straight away.
And not that close to Earth. I can understand lawlessness happening on some far-out colony where there's not as much influence from Earth happening. But the moon's right next door. The military is going to have a real tight grasp on the moon. Yeah. There's not going to be that much shit going down, I don't think, there anytime soon. But hey, I could be wrong.
You could be.
Yeah. The shit could be going down on the moon right now. There could be secret bases there. Ooh, who knows? On the dark side, so we can't see them.
Dark side. Ooh. I did actually like, as soon as they said, oh, we're going to fly you commercial to the moon, I'm like, oh, what's this, like a,
like a 747?
Yeah.
Like a space airliner?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was just a space rocket.
Yeah, but that was pretty cool.
Well, Elon Musk wants to have spaceships that can carry 100 people.
Yeah, that's
to go around to go domestically around the Earth or internationally around the Earth, and also to the moon and to Mars.
Yeah.
And yeah.
No thanks.
It'll happen, but
yeah, not for me.
Yeah. The lunar base looked amazing. Look, I think
it did.
I think this movie was trying to be. I've heard it compared to Apocalypse Now, which is sort of military man is sent on a lone mission to go deep into enemy territory and find a commander who's gone AWOL and who's gone crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's Apocalypse Now, which is based on the Joseph Conrad book Heart of Darkness, right?
Yeah.
Which is another similar story. It's about someone going to find a guy who's they've lost contact with and who's gone insane.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so you can see the similarities with this story, right? And I feel like they use this great universe and this great setting and these great visuals for that story. And I think it maybe could have been served better as a straight-out action thriller rather than a slow burn, Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now style existential movie. I think it would have been better served as an action thriller, like some shit's going down on the moon, he's got to investigate it and uncover some secrets or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep, I agree. I feel like they spent too much time building up to something, but they never really got there.
Yeah, I also thought that it was going to have a bit more of a profound ending instead of just... it sort of fizzled a little bit. Like, he found his dad, and his dad found nothing, and he nuked the ship, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it would have been more interesting if maybe he gets there and his dad did find an alien civilization. And, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the big reveal is that, the aliens are coming to wipe us out or something.
Something.
Or, I don't know, who knows? That the aliens, something, they could have done something with aliens. And maybe that would have been a bit more interesting than the sort of, the ending where it was just nothing.
Yeah.
The mission was all for nothing.
That's it. I feel like the entire thing was for nothing. They didn't even say at the end whether blowing up the base actually stopped
the bursts.
Yeah.
Well, they established that the bursts were coming from the ship.
Yeah, true.
But man, there's some powerful bursts that can affect the Earth. Well, they say 2.6 billion miles away, or something like that.
I feel like the whole movie led to nothing.
It's still very interesting. I would like to see that world mined, but obviously they're not going to mine that world anymore. It feels it's just a one-off movie. What's the sequel going to be? Yeah. Roy McBride gets back with his wife and lies around doing psychological evaluations.
Oh.
What else is it going to be? Roy McBride goes back to the moon to get a Subway sandwich. Like, that's the sequel. Ad Astra 2. Ad Astra 2, a foot long. Meatball sub.
What? I can imagine that as like a terrible comic book.
Would that be more interesting to you if the sequel was just him? He goes to the moon, he orders a Subway footlong, and he just eats it, and then that's it.
Possibly.
Yeah. Oh, and while he's there, he visits his friend Donald Sutherland, who had a heart attack.
Again, a character that I was sitting there going, oh, he's got the makings of a bad guy. Come on, you can do it. Who's this guy going to turn out to be? And it just turns out to be, just a guy who's giving him a USB stick.
What was what was on that USB? What was on it? Did that pay off to anything?
Yeah, it
was. What was
it? It had the information that they were going to destroy the lemur thingy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about that? What did you think he was going to be a bad guy?
Yes.
Did you think he was going to poison Brad Pitt's footlong Subway that he was going to eat on the moon?
I don't know. I was just so let down by this movie. I went in and I'm like, because I can't stand Brad Pitt, but
I don't know why. He's a great actor.
Oh no. So, but I went in there and I'm like, I'm going to give him another chance. I mean,
wait, what don't you like about him?
I don't know. That's the thing.
He's such a good actor. Very underrated. Like for a long time, he's just was sort of portrayed as just a dumb, handsome leading man who's not a very good actor, but is only good for simple roles. But I don't think that's true at all. I've seen him in lots of movies, and he's really good.
Well, seeing this movie did not make me want to give him another chance at all. It was... I was just really disappointed by this movie. I mean, it looked stunning, like you said, and it had all the opportunities. It was building up to be something great, and it just fell
If you hated
flat.
this movie, you would also hate 2001: A Space Odyssey, which this movie was very much influenced by, with a lot of the cinematography and even the setting, the moon setting and all that. But that was made in 1968, and that looked, minus the CGI, that looked almost as good as this movie. It was made in 1968. But that movie is very also existentially... The ending of that movie will really piss you off.
Well, I'll tell you what, seeing the moon scenes here actually made me, I'm going to cop a lot of crap for this. But I was just thinking about how, like, see? We haven't been to the moon. Look at that. Look at that. It's just studio quality. Come on.
Well, that's 2019, but...
Yeah.
CGI.
Yeah, well...
No, you can't piss on the legacy of the men who went there. That's not right.
We haven't been to the moon.
Tell that to Buzz Aldrin and he'll punch you in the face.
No.
A protester went up to him and had a Bible in his hand and said, "Put your hand on the Bible and swear that you went to the moon. You liar, you he called him a liar and a fraud, and he punched him in the face." Buzz Aldrin did. Yeah. No,
Still
we
not
definitely went
convinced.
to the moon. Conspiracy folk. I find the odd conspiracy interesting here and there as a tall tale of interest, but I don't believe most of them. And we did go to the moon. We absolutely went to the moon.
No.
You can trace the history of technological development that led up to it. And at the time in 1969, with the camera technology they had at the time, it actually would have been more difficult to fake the video than to actually go.
I want to know why everybody thinks that we went to the moon when it's 2019 and sometimes I can't even make a phone call. Or I can't send a text message to you when you're in the same house as me.
As crazy as this sounds, it was, with the technology they had in the 60s, it was very simple to go. And it's simple to go now. We're just not spending the money to do it. That's all. It costs a lot of money, but technologically, it's simple to go. You just need rockets and simple computers. And back then, the computers they had on the moon mission were apparently like a pocket calculator level of computing power. But that's all it needed to do was simple math. Trajectories and timings and things like that. That's all it needed to do. And so we could go back to the moon anytime we wanted to. It's just the will. And hey, Trump's got the will because he said we're going back in 2024, and they're going to be landing there again. So okay. I'm excited. I love space travel. I love astronauts and anything space related. So I'm excited that they're going back to the moon, and hopefully we can get some more moon sci-fi thriller films.
Well, hopefully if they make a sequel to Alita or a prequel.
Oh, to see the Moon War.
A prequel would be good.
I don't think we'll get a prequel. There's doubt about a sequel even now. Because it didn't make much money at the box office.
Oh.
But, yeah. I enjoyed this movie. What would you give it out of 10? I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. I don't know what it was. There was something... Would I watch it again? I would watch it again if it was on TV, yes. Just mainly for the moon scenes and that. And because of the visuals were impressive.
Yes.
I feel a bit let down by the ending. I wanted something more profound to happen at the end. Something to really blow my mind. And I didn't get that. It just felt a bit of a letdown. Bit of an anticlimax. Because it was building up to something big and profound happening. And in the end, all it was is... I guess it's profound in a way that Brad Pitt, realized that, you he can spend his whole life just focusing on the mission of going into space, or he can focus back on the woman he loves that he sort of neglected. I don't know. Something profound about that, I guess.
Maybe we missed something. Please tell us in the comments if we missed something. And this movie is actually a masterpiece and we've just... it's gone straight over our heads.
Well, Grace Randolph from Beyond the Trailer, right? She shit all over Rambo, which I thought was fantastic. Stay tuned for my review of that. And she said this was one of the best movies she's ever seen. Ad Astra. But then she said her top 3 movies of all time at the moment.
Yeah.
And it was like The Dark Knight.
Last Jedi.
No, Rear Window, which, I can understand Rear Window, great movie, but The Dark Knight, no. And Saving Mr. Banks. Do you remember that? The Mary Poppins one with Tom Hanks playing Walt Disney. I'm like, that was a fun little movie, but how is it one of the greatest movies of all time? Well, hey, I guess it's subjective, It must have really connected with her.
Okay.
Chimp chimney, chimp chimney, chimp chimp chino. That's my feelings on Mr. Banks. It was all right, but it's not the best. One of the best movies of all time.
Oh, good one.
Anyway.
Okay.
Well,
out of 10, I don't know.
What?
A 3.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how unimpressed I was with this movie.
Because of the ending, it's dropped a lot of points for me. I was really enjoying it up until, towards the end there. So I'll give it a 7. A 7 because...
What?
Yeah, because the visuals were so stunning, and I was engaged right up until the end, and Brad Pitt's performance was really good. For all of that,
how could you
I've got to give it a 7.
That his performance was good when he had the same look on his face the entire way through, until the end when he shed one tiny little tear.
He was playing a stoic, professional, military man.
But he can still have more than one look on his face.
I think he played it well, man. He was playing a stoic sort of person. What I want to know is why the astronauts, so-called professional astronauts, so unprofessional, apart from him. Like the other guy,
Yes.
the pilot guy, like didn't know what to do when the ship was coming in for a land. Isn't this shit routine? Hasn't he done this in simulators like 1,000,000 times?
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm going to give it a 3.5.
That's what you
because
said already, isn't it?
No, I said 3.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give him an extra half a point.
Because of the beautiful blue planet you didn't see.
Shush.
Okay.
No, for his little eye twitch.
For that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that was kind of the only acting that I really saw from him.
I didn't even notice the eye twitch. Was that because the sauce was a bit too hot on his foot-long sub on the moon? Sorry, hey, they're gonna put a Subway in the moon scenes. I'm gonna make Subway jokes. I know none of them are good, but
Subway is the worst takeaway out of
I like
all
it.
of them.
Foot-long chicken fillet, tomato and onions, and old English cheese.
No.
Top.
No.
That's the top option, folks.
Just
Give it a
no.
try.
Okay.
Yep. All right, we're gonna leave it there.
Yeah,
So what did I say? 7.
Yeah.
You said 3.5. Okay. So that's Ad Astra. Go check out the movie. I mean, it's great on a big screen to look at least.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no. Save your money for something else.
Yeah.
Downton Abbey. Yeehaw!
Oh, does that look good? Does it?
Yes, I don't know why I just said yeehaw.
Yeah, neither
That
do
has
I.
nothing to
It's not
do
a western.
But either is the moon.
Well, you said Wild West.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Wild West.
Wild West.
It's like a lawless, frontier.
Didn't see any of that.
The thing is, remember that military base shot the bastards straight away. So why didn't they do that before?
Yeah, before they.
As soon as they got engaged, and they should have been in a big, heavily armored tank of some kind on the moon. How do they not have those? They just have these shitty little rovers when they got a giant base there, and just got shitty little rovers. Oh, that was a bit silly.
No, they're like, oh, we're not going to draw attention to ourselves. So we'll just lose.
Yeah, they weren't clearly marked as military. Like, if they were in a big military armored vehicle, the pirates wouldn't have touched them, because then they'd know that they're going to draw the ire of the military. Obviously, they don't attack the military bases, do they? Yeah, I thought that was a bit silly.
Lots of plot holes in this story.
Yeah, a few, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
But, all right, I guess we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening. And, yeah, stay tuned for, I don't know, our next video, I guess, in another 6 months. Now, hopefully it'll be sooner. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.